Hi, everybody. Welcome back and happy Friday. All right, guys. So I'm super excited to be doing Hot Messy Topics because, last week we were out of town to Florida and Jason actually is back in Florida. So I did not have, you guys are not getting a Jason cameo today, but fear not. We have Thea from Your Moms Are Watching. And also, by the way, last time we had Thea on, she comes in with some knowledge and some things that every time she's talking about something, I'm like, no, I didn't know that. No, I didn't know that. So it's really fun to have somebody on that has insight that I don't have, because sometimes like when you're so wrapped into this whole world, like with Bravo, and you get to learn everybody and know everybody, you think that you know most of the but I think that actually Sheena just proved that in her new memoir that we don't know everything that we think we do. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. But we'll get into that too. So before we jump in, if you guys haven't already, go ahead, pop off in the comment section. Let us know in the live chat where you're watching from. Smash the like button. If you're not subscribed to Up and Adam channel 1 or 2, make sure you get subscribed. And let's welcome Thea from Your Moms Are Watching. Hello.
Hi, Adam. Thank you so much for having me back.
My God, thank you so much for coming back. And how have you been?
Great. Excellent. Just, pumping out the tea.
It's nonstop. This is, it's funny because I always say this. It's like some weeks in the Bravo world, it's just incredibly slow. And then other weeks, it's just like it's nonstop. And this week kind of felt like a nonstop.
No, it is. I can't keep up. I'm trying so hard. And, I was like out of the tea game. Every time I'm out of the tea game and I'm like, this doesn't pay. Like you just get backlash. And someone pulls me back in. Somebody DMs me and is like, guess what? And I'm like, no, don't tell me this. I don't want to know.
You're like, no, because then that's just going to add more on my list. Please. Thank you. No. So, all right. We have a lot to talk about, guys. We had the Real Housewives of Orange County that came out this week. I have not talked to you guys about Miami. Erika Jayne has a new man. Dumas ended up sharing more about Paige DeSorbo's secret man. Scheana outed Brock for having this affair. Denise Richards is getting a divorce. Like, I don't even know where to begin. Do you have a starting place? Do you want to start somewhere?
No, I think we have to start what everyone's talking about. We have to start with Scheana. That's what everybody cares about.
I mean, okay.
So do you want to hear my tea that I got this morning?
Please.
Okay, so this person who told me this, by the way, knows everything. And I can't tell you why, but just trust me on this. He knows everything. He's the one that told me that they were all getting fired before anyone else knew. And I posted it that morning and no one believed me. They trashed me on Reddit for 3 hours. And I was sitting there like, when is this story going to drop so they know I'm telling the truth? When? And they were like, what does this page know? How would she know this? And finally at like noon Eastern time, the West Coast put it up on page 6. And I was like, yeah, see, I was right. So the same person told me that after Scheana found out that Brock cheated, he gave her a hall pass and she used it. And he doesn't know if this is like an ongoing hall pass, but that she got him back. I kind of love this for her. Do you not love this for her? Allegedly.
That she's gone back to the hall pass?
No. So after he cheated, her condition of forgiving him and taking him back was she was allowed to do what she wanted.
Okay.
And she did.
I just feel like, you know what's so crazy is, wait, you're married, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what's crazy to me is everybody has their own relationship dynamics, right? Yeah. Like I have a friend and he has been in a throuple for a long time now and that works for him. And I remember when he
do a throuple. Could never. I'm too jealous.
I remember talking to him and I'm like, dude, can you really like, you could do this? And he's like, I don't judge me. And I was like, I'm not judging you. But he's like, well, maybe you and Jason, like, and I was like, absolutely not. There's no way in hell. And my thing too is like, I don't know if I'm not a woman. So also I've never been pregnant, clearly. But if I were a pregnant woman and I found out that my husband cheated on me, I think that we would have a big issue. I think that I would be like, I'm at home, especially after what happened with, like the first go around when we tried to get pregnant and that was super unfortunate. We got pregnant again. Baby Summer Moon, who's like the most gorgeous little girl in the world. And while I'm at home pregnant, after knowing everything that we've been through, you're out having an affair. Like that would kill me. It would kill me.
Okay, I'm gonna give you the woman's perspective on this though.
Okay.
Because I feel like Sheena, as we all know, is deeply, deeply insecure, right? I mean, you have to be deeply insecure to cheat with a married man, like all this stuff. Like she just doesn't feel great about herself. She should. She's amazing and beautiful, but she doesn't. So when you're pregnant, you feel 1,000 times worse about yourself. You feel like this big fat cow that can't get off the couch. I mean, it's disgusting being pregnant. I'm not one of those people that was like, look at my glow. It's bad. So there she is feeling at her lowest. He obviously didn't tell her for a few years. But I believe, and this is complete like conjecture, but I think Sheena kind of felt like, well, you know what, like you got it from somewhere else because you couldn't get it at home. So, I don't know. Like it's like she felt so bad about herself, like she felt ugly. And she thinks like all men need sex. So he went somewhere else and got it. And maybe that's the only time she would have like forgiven it. Like I know it's a different way to look at it. Instead of saying like, screw you, I'm home with the pregnant. She might have thought like, well, at that point I was feeling terrible. I was looking terrible. Like I kind of understand. I don't know. It's just a guess.
And like the eye for an eye. Listen, I'm all for an eye for an eye. And if in fact she did have this hall pass, which listen, good for her. I just don't know if that's like the way to remedy something. I feel like that would just be like, so now when does this end? Does that mean like, okay, well, you go out and you F up again and you have sex with another woman, then I get another hall pass? Like what? I just kind of feel like that's like a really toxic downward spiral and that could get really, really sticky and tricky really quick.
Right. I mean, this person that told me wasn't sure if it's an ongoing hall pass, like Sheena for the rest of her life is allowed to cheat if she wants, or if it was just like a one-time thing. But the point is, I guess it's not cheating if your husband tells you it's okay. And then maybe that's a way for you to feel like, okay, now we've both done it. I actually didn't believe it because I thought Sheena, she's so like completely obsessed with her man. Like I can't imagine her even wanting to do that. But when I tell you that this is a great source, I'm not kidding. And he said it happened, and I have to believe this person because they would know.
I also thought it was interesting that when she explained this part of her book, so guys, this is going to be in chapter 16 of her book that comes out, My Good Side, on July 22nd. I thought it was so Sheena to explain it this way. She's like, I didn't want to share it at the time because that's when Scandival was happening, and I didn't want to overshadow Scandival. And I'm like,
Sheena, like, we know you. We know you.
What?
Overshadow Shay. It's her middle name.
What a little narcissistic way of looking at that. No, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay. But now looking at it too, from the perspective, it's like, now you've opened these floodgates. So I just want to ask you for Sheena, because you're saying that you feel like Sheena is an insecure person. And I think that Sheena definitely has her insecurities for sure. I think that everybody has insecurities, right? Yeah, so we'll just leave that out there. But now that this is out there, what's wild about this scale that is about to happen is even if in fact she did have her own hall pass, people are not going to look at it from that perspective. They're going to look at it like, you have now triggered women across the world who are Bravo fans. You have triggered them because this is most people, especially I would imagine somebody who's pregnant or at home, like wondering where their husband is and not feeling good about themselves. Like you said, like you just don't feel good a lot of times, like unless you're Lala Kent and then you're just like, oh, bikini and everything. But now you have lit up the Bravoverse with all of these people with their pitchforks and they're like, you, Brock.
And that's your baby daddy and your husband who you're happy with. I mean, that I know, to take that kind of, they really must have wanted this book to do well, to be able to agree to put this out there, because they had to have known the backlash would be terrible. Literally, you cannot live this down. Like, they're going to hate her husband forever in Bravo. I don't understand it either, but I will tell you, having published some books of my own, it is a ruthless industry, especially now. Nobody's reading, no one's buying. We're all going to wait for the excerpts. No one's going to buy that book. So it was her only chance to have something that might be a bestseller. I mean, this is getting the book out on everybody's lips. It's on the front page of every single, publication today. That's your book, right? So I have to think that they thought, for the stability of their family, for their financial future, that it was worth it. That's all I can think.
You think that she probably had a come to Jesus moment with Brock and said, look, dickhead, you did this. You cheated on me. I'm writing this memoir. This is my life, my story. You're not working. I'm the primary breadwinner. I pay the mortgage here, which is a $3 million home. I pay the mortgage over there for another 1 point whatever million dollar home. And I'm also paying for everything for Summer Moon and keeping us afloat and maintaining our lifestyle.
Right.
So sorry, you did this. This is going to help the book sell. And this is your way of contributing.
I guess the thing that's so strange though, have 3 published books, you don't make money on your books. You really don't. You really don't. You get your royalty comes after all of the advances paid back, after all of the costs of the book is paid back. You finally get your $2 a book if you're lucky, $1.50 a book. I mean, you do the math on that. It's very hard to get rich. Your book would have to sell millions of copies to make money from it. So that's the weird part for me, is like no one gets, the only way you can get rich writing a book, unless you're the top like 0.5%, is if you sell it to like be a TV show or a movie. So maybe this her ultimate goal. I don't know, but that's a strange decision because it doesn't seem, I mean, it's a joke in the publishing world. Like authors do not get rich. I mean, unless you're like, Candace Bushnell, you really don't. So that's strange too. The only thing else I could think is that she had absolutely no thought that she would ever share this. And then when she was writing it, she realized like, I can't write a book without this because it's such a big part of my story, and like just honestly wanted to like help other women who've been cheated on. And I don't know, it could just be coming from a real point of like knowing that I know Sheena, she loves when people love her. So maybe she just really wanted to ingratiate herself on the audience, thinking like, look, you guys, I'm really burying it all for this book. And for that kind of like gratification. I don't know.
I'm going to add 2 things into this too. I think that one, Sheena also probably believes that this is an easy segue into a storyline for the Valley, because once the book comes out and the backlash comes out, then she can easily have this like tumultuous kind of back and forth where it's conflict that can bleed into resolution. Like, you did this, you can't handle the aftermath of it, but we have this beautiful home. Like, where do we go from here? And that can easily play. First of all, if we have Jasmine Good and everybody beating Danny to death this season over, I don't even know what's going on, then yes, they can play this into it. And then secondly, somewhere Brandy Glanville is living in somebody's guest bedroom and she's like, that's karma.
I know a lot of people have the karma coming. I don't love it just because no one deserves this. Nobody, even if you did it to someone else. And I never, by the way, ever blame the woman who a man cheated with. So I never blamed Sheena for the whole Brandy stuff ever. I'm just like, it's on him. He did it. She's, if you're single and you hook up with a guy and he happens to be married, like I know it's unpopular opinion, but so I never blamed her for that. But I don't like the karma thing. No one deserves this. But I mean, if she's capitalizing on this now, then you kind of have to say, all right, well, you knew what you were getting into. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to, because Brock has like such a kind of a checkered past too, with the domestic abuse and not talking to his kids. So it's hard to root for anybody here right now, but I don't know. I'm kind of still rooting for Sheena. I like the idea of her like hooking up with someone else. I kind of like that. Like maybe that made her feel good about herself. It made her feel vindicated. If it's true, I don't know. At least it's better than her being a victim.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We'll make this glass half full, Thea. Okay. I'm like, I don't really know where you go from here, but listen, we'll do it.
No, but I agree with you on the Valley. This could be her storyline. Like, this is a reason to put her on the cast. Like, this is something everyone now wants to see.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's huge. And I mean, I think that you would know better than I. Have they already finished filming the Valley this season, or have they even started?
They haven't started.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, yeah. Right. So that would make sense. Like this would be
supposed to start soon. So this could, be it. I don't know. This could be Sheila's new starring role.
Oh God. What a way to come in and land the role. You go on, girl. Go get the bag. All right. Speaking of people who are having relationships, this one's not a negative. This is actually a positive, and people were really shocked by it. I don't know if you guys saw the TMZ videos that came out, but Erika Jayne was seen holding hands in Los Angeles with a man who goes by Shrek. Apparently, this guy is a 54-year-old retired U.S. Army Special Forces sergeant and just a resident badass. If you guys look him up on social media, he has over 900,000 followers. He's also the bodyguard to Heidi Montag, or was Heidi and Spencer. I don't know if he is still the bodyguard, but yep, there he is. And What I find interesting about this was it was only about 2 months ago that she went on her podcast, Diamonds in the Rough, with Teddy Mellencamp. And Teddy asked her, would you ever bring a man on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? And she said, honestly, I don't think so. And she was like, well, why? She said, because this show eats you up, it spits you out, and like it's not for the faint-hearted. You kind of, a lot of people aren't used to this. This is my world, and I don't think that I could bring somebody on the show. Then I was watching this guy's videos, and I'm like, no, you got to bring him on the show because this guy does not give a shit about anything. He was known as the sheriff of Baghdad. Like, the guy is obviously, he's
a badass for sure.
He is.
If anyone can take it, he can.
If anybody can take it, like a bunch of women screaming at him, being like, you're an asshole and a narcissist, he'd probably be like, I could see him like cutting his steak like the Liver King guy and like licking his like steak knife like, are we done? Like, anything else, ladies? You know what I mean? Like, this would be the guy that you would bring on.
Well, I heard the producers don't want him on, so that could be a problem. Because he has a lot of stuff out there. I don't know. I mean, not that Bravo's ever shied away from MAGA before. Like, they don't care at all. But I don't know if that's what it is. But I don't know. For some reason, they're not like into it. But maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he'll be on. But so far, they haven't filmed with him. But who knows? Hopefully, they do. I agree. It'd be great TV.
You know, it's interesting too because Bravo and NBC, like as a business, they do have a very niche audience. And so that's part of the reason I truly, truly believe that like Anne-Marie Wiley, when she came in and her husband was so vocal on his podcast about gender roles and sports, while a lot of people might agree, disagree, whatever the case is, playing that to the Bravo audience, that was not like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to land, you know? And then you also have somebody like Kelly Dodd, who was on OC, and she'll tell you, she's like, I'm not like a Trumper. And she'll tell you, I forgot what she is, but she says it all the time. But people really put her in this bubble of being like a Republican, super supportive of Trump. And she was very vocal about the pandemic and stuff. And that also did not play to the audience. So
I forgot about that, right?
Yeah. When you start bringing on somebody who has very controversial opinions that differ from the masses of who is watching, you know, and like the fandom, oh yeah, you're going to create a moment, you know, and that's not always good when it's a business.
Right. That could be it. Or I could be completely wrong. But I did hear that they don't want him on, but I want to see him. I think he's hot. I think she's getting great sex. Like, there's no way that Erika can keep this to herself.
I mean, honestly, I'm not mad at it for her.
No.
I'm like, look, your other dude is going to prison, you know, like, dude sucks. He stole a lot of money from people who were already victims, making them victims squared times 2.
Right.
And whatever he did with the money, if he funded your lifestyle like that, you'll deal with in court. But now at some point, I do believe that everybody deserves the right to move on. I do have a question because maybe you know this better than me. I saw where there was an article that came out that said that a judge was threatening to dismiss their divorce if in fact that there was no movement. But I thought that the whole point behind the fact that there was no movement was because all of these things needed to be settled in court before they could actually get a divorce. And then once I heard this, that the judge was like, honestly, I believe this divorce is a sham. If you guys don't continue, blah, 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 then I'm going to throw it out. Then I was thinking, okay, well, she said like 2 times on the show that, you know, this man doesn't even have 80 days left, let alone like 18 years to spend in prison. Do you have a life insurance policy? Or are you just waiting for the guy to like be unalive? And then maybe you get like a big, you know, like, I don't know. So I wanted to pick your brain on it.
No, I read the same thing, and it said, you know, they might have to wait till he dies for her divorce. I can't imagine that if you wanted a divorce from a man who's in prison, you can't just get one. So there must be some more to it. There must be something in there where she gets money if he dies. I don't know. I mean, she is the next of kin right now. Like, when you're the spouse, you're the next of kin. But I always thought that would work against her, because if he dies with debts or if he dies with, you know, pending judgments, I don't know if that reflects. So I would think she would want one. But if she wanted a divorce, she would have gotten one by now. It's been a while.
Well, and then I guess my next natural question would be, if in fact, by the way, guys, 300 in the room, show some love, smash the like button. But my next question would be, if in fact, say like, you know, Tom Girardi passed away and he left a $2 million life insurance policy, wouldn't the creditors probably swoop in and take that anyways before she would get it?
Right. I don't know. You know, the older you get, the less money someone gets when you die. So I have a feeling that life insurance policy probably isn't worth that much by now. I don't know.
Oy. Okay. Okay. Well, God, this just keeps going. Well, since we're over in the neck of the woods of Beverly Hills, you guys, where, you know, we have Sutton Strack living on a main street and whatnot. Hey, hey. Let's just go ahead and go to this next little tidbit. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Denise Richards' husband, Aaron, has filed for divorce. He filed for divorce on Monday, July 7th. He said that the date of separation was July 4th. So while some people were watching fireworks, I guess they had fireworks in their marriage. I don't know. I'm not even trying to laugh at that. Like, I just don't like what a random date. Like, what the happened at your 4th of July party that made it?
That was Denise's Independence Day.
That, like, I'm just like, what happened to you guys? But in it, I thought it was a little interesting. And I find people to be incredibly silly in some of these marriages. Like, girl, you have an entire career, right? You know, you have the ability to make a lot of money. You were already on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. You didn't know if you were going to stay on. You decided to walk off. Bravo, bravo, fucking bravo. Right. You didn't want to deal with the shit. Then you went into OnlyFans. You're making a lot of money. Now he closed his practice and he wants spousal support, but a lot of spousal support. And your show just got canceled, just to put the cherry on top.
Well, he's not going to get it because I heard her OnlyFans is not what they're reporting. I mean, she's trying to get it by saying, oh, she makes $250,000 a month, but she really doesn't. So that's BS. And the judge will find that out in about 4 seconds. But also, you know about Aaron. You know that he like tried to charge some woman to cure her cancer with his dumb machine. And like, he's a con artist. So I think the writing was on the wall here. I'm kind of happy for her. I don't know. Remember when he grabbed her arm and that I will never forget when he grabbed her arm in that on Beverly Hills. And I was like, oh, what was that? And everyone was talking about how he might be like a controlling asshole. So I kind of feel like this whole story is a great story for Denise. I don't know. Did you love him?
No, I saw him to be somebody he actually reminds me of one of my friend's exes that we let move in with us in New York. And the guy was a good looking guy, built like Aaron, looked like Aaron, had no job. Actually, he got denied even walking dogs. So the guy, and he ate all of my fucking popcorn. By the way, guys, when you're 20 years old and you have no money, that's a big deal. My popcorn and my chicken tenders. I'm going to say that. Now, going back to it with Aaron, I think that it was a man who was hot, had a practice in Malibu. And like she said, there was a lot of good sex. And I think that there was a huge attraction in that way. And I think that sometimes when you get to certain levels, like Giselle, who left Tom Brady, right? And she got with the jiu-jitsu guy or the Krav Maga or whatever he is, like the instructor. Right. It's like once you get to a certain point, and by no means is Denise Richards at Giselle's point, but like once you get to a certain point and you're making money, I think that you start your perspective and what you're looking for in a partner starts to change a little bit. It's not necessarily that you're looking for this breadwinner because you're like, I am the breadwinner, right? You know? So I think she fell for a hot man, great sex.
No, I agree. For sure, she was getting good D from him, but I just felt like, I mean, remember on her show when they were like his family was living in there. I don't know. Like, I just felt like there were red flags everywhere with that marriage. And I don't know if she stayed with them because of the sex. I mean, they drank a lot together. And I always think that's a factor, like almost like two people enabling each other. So that might've been it. But I mean, I hope he filed. So what could he have been fed up with? This woman was like his meal ticket. That was what was bizarre to me.
Well, and you know, it is funny too, because when you say about like him grabbing her arm and stuff like that, there was a clear shift from her first season on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills to her second season. Her first season, he wasn't obviously privy to all of the chatter and like the scenes until it actually aired. And She talked a lot about his pee-pee, the size of it, the sex, all of the things. She was very vulgar with the way that she communicated about these things. And then when she came on the next season, it was almost like he saw everything.
Someone and he was like, stop talking about that.
Tone it down now.
Right.
Tone it. So then when she came back the next season, she's like, you guys, I cannot be associated with this. I am a mother.
Right.
And they're all like, wait, what? But it's like Leah McSweeney after her first season when she came back and she's like, I am revived and healed, and I cannot get that tequila away from me. That is the devil. No. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like,
no, it was weird. It's weird. I always got that kind of vibe. Like he's a controlling guy. And maybe this, he also strikes me as very jealous. So maybe this whole like filing for divorce thing was like a jealousy thing. He thought she was cheating on him. I don't know. It's bizarre. And I'm so bummed that they're not getting another season. Like, what? That could not be an expensive show. Why would Bravo not pull those cameras right up on that show?
I don't know. But also, again, I'm going to say this just like I said for Sheena. Somewhere Brandi Glanville is sitting there like, haha.
Again, I know Brandi's having a great week. Great one.
Brandi, like, whoever's guest room you're in right now, we're just thinking of you. So
she's in one of my best friend's guest room. They're like, she's one of my best friends is her publicist. They go.
Okay. So of course, see that's.
By the way, they go to get plastic surgery together like weekly. Like if anyone wants to know like what Brandi's problem is, like that's it. Like completely addicted to plastic surgery. It's a problem, like a real problem. Too much.
Oi. Okay. All right. So guys, we're going to go to maybe a more exciting relationship before we get into Miami and also Orange County, because this is one that I've been rooting for. It's one that came out right after a very public Bravo breakup. Paige DeSorbo, Craig Conover. I have said this. I've gotten so much shit for this, you guys. I've seen the comments where you guys ask me, why do you hate Craig so much? And I always say, I don't hate Craig. That doesn't even make sense. I don't know Craig to hate Craig. I just think that you can see signs of somebody who exhibits like that Peter Pan syndrome or bitch assness is what I call it. Like when you sit there and you're with like your wife or something and you're like, what about me? Right. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's about me. And when you try, I never agree. And usually with my friends, I keep my mouth shut just because that's who I am. But like, I never agree if I see a partnership where one person tries to suppress the other or give them like a role and it's like, you're here, I'm here. And that's like our dynamic. I don't like that. And I kind of felt like that's what Craig wanted to do with Paige. But after this whole breakup, she ended up going to a Philadelphia Eagles game with a guy named Joe D'Amelio, who is the senior vice president of Clutch Sports. Now, after this came out, she went on her Giggly Squad podcast and she was like, no, I'm not dating anybody, you guys. I'm single. And we're like, okay, she's single. She went out with a friend. Girls can be friends with guys. Lo and behold, let's roll out Dumois. Dumois decides to come out and say, we have photos that we can't share, but Paige DeSorbo was just vacationing in Capri with Joe D'Amelio. Capri. How do you say it?
Capri is how Jesse on The Valley called it. It's Capri, but he says Capri. It's his favorite.
Capri.
Capri.
Yeah. Capri. Okay. But she's there. She looks stunning. She looks like $1 million. She's tan. She's hot. And apparently she was seen with this Joe D'Amelio guy. And people are now all over on comment sections and they're like, oh, so you were cheating on Craig. And I'm like, this is exactly why she didn't want to share. Probably, if I had to guess, if she is in a relationship, that she is in a relationship, because I think that the timelines were so close.
Right.
I don't think that she cheated on him, but I do like this for her because I think that for Paige, you need somebody who's laid back. You need somebody who's not in your reality TV world. You need somebody who's making money, who's business oriented, and who has their own identity, who's not like leveraging being in a relationship in order to create more opportunities.
No, 100%. Although I have so much tea on this. Are you ready for it?
Oh my God, please, please, please. My God, this is why I love having you on.
So I just reached out to, I can't believe she even got back to me. And now like, we're like besties with his ex. Okay. Rachel is her name.
Oh shit. Okay.
And I wanted to know because I saw in a picture of Paige from Capri that there was this men's cologne on her counter. And I wanted to know if that was his. So I messaged her. I can't even believe she replied. And I was like, hi.
Oh my God. How did you even think of that?
I know. I have a question because I am constantly on the clues for this guy. I don't know why. I'm like obsessed with their relationship. So she writes me right back and she goes, yeah, she told me the name. And that was the cologne. I zoomed in. That's the cologne. So she goes, no, that's definitely his. And he is there with her and they are still dating. And I was like, okay, thank you. And then she went on to just go off about him and like that he's not a good guy, that there's something in his past that his parents have paid to squash, that so he's a trust fund kid. His parents are rich. His dad is like beyond rich. So although she laughs about the trust fund because she was telling me like Paige thinks she's going to get it. She's never going to get it. You have to sign like a 30-page, because they were engaged. You have to sign a 30-page prenup to even get engaged to him. And it's like, you will never get a penny of the D'Amelio fortune ever. But anyways, take it for what it's worth. This is definitely a bitter ex, so take it for what it's worth. But she had come out a long time ago to say that they had been messaging when she was engaged to Joe, and that she found the messages, and she didn't want to say anything else, but she put a statement out like on her Instagram saying like this overlap. There was overlap, and it was chatter overlap, like DM overlap, not cheating. So I guess emotional cheating. And Joe and Paige, I think we already all know this, they knew each other. They've known each other for a lot of years. So it's not like this is a new thing. But she's saying that Paige reached out to him when she was starting to have problems with Craig, before she was broken up with Craig. And when she was still engaged to Joe, she reached out, and she has the messages, and they're not good. It's flirting. Anyways, take it for what it's worth. Again, like this girl, he broke up with her. He's going out with Paige now, so she's not going to be like his biggest fan. I get it. But there was some insight. Like, I like the cologne thing because I didn't tell her what the cologne was. I just asked her what the brand was, and she told me, and I was like, that's the brand. And she goes, oh no, he's definitely there. She said that he's mad. His sister told her that he's mad that he's not being shown, that he's dating her for clout and wants to be shown. I don't know if that's true either. But he obviously has his own life, and I'm sure why would he want the scrutiny? I wouldn't want it. Like, but I will say about Paige and Craig, you know, I used to work for Julia Roberts, and she was dating Benjamin Bratt when I worked for her, and he's the sweetest guy ever. But I knew that the relationship wouldn't work, and the reason why is because he kind of had his own. They both wanted to be movie stars, but they're both movie stars, and that never works in the end. You need someone that like is subservient to you in your career. You can't have two people that are trying for the same thing. I feel like that's what happened with Craig and Paige. Like the second someone pulls ahead of the other one's going to hate them for it. Or like the jealousy and the competing for attention. It never works.
Well, no, we saw that with Ariana and Tom. And then you can see in different relationships, like Ariana and her man, Dan, you can see he is subservient, you know? Right. And like Madison LaCroix and her man, Brett, you can see where he's like, you are the star. This is your thing. I love you. I want to be here to support you. And I do think you need those sort of like roles, you know, even with us doing YouTube, like Jason will come on like maybe twice a week, and otherwise he's like, this is your thing. And he handles all of the back end of everything. And he's like, you know, I did Cirque du Soleil for so long. That was my thing. And this is yours. Just go ahead and do it. I agree. You do need that dynamic in a relationship where you cannot have two people who are just like, I always make jokes. The other day, there was a woman at self-checkout at Publix, and she said, you have a husband, right? And I said, yeah. She said, how long have you guys been together? I said, 11 years. And she's like, oh, in like gay years, that's like 70. And she was like she was a little elderly woman named Terry. And I was like, no, Terry, you're right. Like you hit the nail on the head, girl. And she's like, you know, like the gays don't normally stay together. And I was like, this is the most awkward conversation.
Especially you're right. Very handsome gays like you guys too. Like the very handsome ones. It's hard.
Hey, we'll take it. But I told her, I said, listen, there's a lot of testosterone, Terry. There's a lot of testosterone. It's like kind of like what you said. It's like being two alphas or gunning for the same things. It doesn't always work. But I do hope that this works for her, because I see her being with somebody who is very business oriented, who can hold their own, who likes to go out and do lavish things and dress and wants to be a part of New York City and keep her around her family. I can see where this would work for her. I get it.
Me too. I hope it's true. And I hope that eventually, I mean, I can't even imagine why she would want to hide it at this point. So who knows who's the reason why it's not. But I mean, she's just tired of people calling her a cheater and all this stuff. Like she probably doesn't want to talk about it. Like, this is my life. I'm not on a reality show anymore, so I don't need to tell you guys anything.
I'm wondering if she maybe took a step back from the reality show, because I know that she just got honored by Time's 100 Most Influential Podcast. You know, like we know that she sold out 30-something cities. We know that her book became a New York Times bestseller. She's on the Jimmy Fallon show. She's on all of these major talk shows with Hannah Berner. They're both getting their own opportunities. She's coming in and co-hosting and passing out on Love Island. I mean, like things are happening, you know? So I feel like she's going to have her own bag anyway. So I think that whole prenup conversation, that would apply to like, if you were picking Sally up off the side of the road and she had student loans and had no job, and you're like, okay, well, here we go, you know?
Yeah, I hear you.
But all right. So we're gonna move over. The next thing I wanted to talk about, guys, was this week on the Real Housewives of Miami, we got an interesting episode. Are you liking Stephanie Shoji?
Well, the first episode I was kind of like, oh god, another woman who's obsessed with Birkins. But the second episode when she stood up to Lisa, I loved, absolutely loved. She's interesting though, because you've read, I'm sure, all the stuff about her and how she, was the ex-wife's assistant and all this stuff. So kind of like a homewrecker, possibly, allegedly, and that she's not like this boss babe because it was all his money. He let her run his company. So I don't know if like her putting herself in the public eye is a great idea if all this is true, or maybe she doesn't give a crap. I mean, so far I like her, like she seems like she's going to give everybody a run for their money.
Well, and I see too where like what you're saying this past week's episode where they're all waiting on the Sprinter bus and they're going to this like Greek narcissist party, which how Alexia even came up with. I'm like, how you even came up with that? I have no idea, but okay, we'll take it. And when Lisa comes on and she goes, hello, all you goddesses. And she's like, Lisa, do you think your time is more important than ours? And she's like, girl, hold on. I don't even know you. She's like, right. And then she like kind of snapped and she's like, no, it's rude. You're rude. It's been 2 hours. And she's like, well, I've heard you don't have a lot of friends. And when she clapped back and she's like, I don't have a lot of friends because they're like you. And I dropped them. She's like, I don't like talking about penises and I don't like people who are late. And I was like,
girl, what are you doing on this show?
Yeah, that like what Kiki said. Kiki was like, girl, are you sure you're in the right group? Because
Lisa posted yesterday a comment saying that she had informed them that she was going to be late and that they should go without her and that it was their choice to not go. So, I mean, to her defense, if she did that, she was like, listen, I'm running really late. You guys feel free to go. Like, I'll take my own Uber or whatever. I don't understand that. It's like not fair to get on her case if you guys are the ones that chose to sit there. I don't know. That's weird, right?
Well, unless production made them sit there to get them more pissed off at the fact that they were waiting, because I feel like that's probably what they were doing. But the question is, I guess the more important question is, why are you always late to everything?
I don't like that. I know it's obviously a glam thing. She's insecure. She needs to look perfect and everything. Dorita's like that too. Like they cannot go out without like full head to toe glam. And so that to me feels like why she's probably always late.
Yeah, but like even at the reunion when they did the pan back and she like walks out and she goes, hello. And Andy goes like, no, we're not celebrating you. We're all annoyed. And she's like, well, can I put on my jewelry? He's like, are you fucking kidding me? No. Right now. Like
ultimate sign of disrespect. I am always early. Always.
I truly, to be honest with you, it is one of my biggest pet peeves, no matter where we go, what we do. And Jason's a little bit more relaxed with it where he's like, 5-10 minutes, that's fine. And I'm like, no. And we will fight all the way out the door because I will be yanking his ass out the door.
Same. I cannot be late. Personally, I cannot. I'm always early. I've been my whole life just waiting for people. My whole life. Because I'm always not on time. I'm early. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's so narcissistic.
No. If people make me wait, I swear to God, I'm kind of like Stephanie in this sense, except Stephanie, you got the money, honey, like not me. But when Stephanie's like, I swear to God, if I invite you guys on my private jet and you're more than 4 minutes late, then that jet is taking off without you. And I'm like, that is so relatable, Stephanie. I feel the same way.
When I take my jet to go pick up my dogs for something that would be a 3-hour car ride, I also like people to be on time.
Yeah, you're right, Stephanie. You are absolutely right. And I just like, no, you're not. But okay, cool. But maybe you are. I don't know. But as far as like the Real Housewives of Miami right now, I guess my next question for you too is I'm really actually digging the cast. I think that it's a great cast, the dynamics. I'm not loving Julia Lamagoba and Girardi in this whole situation. I think that Julia was an asshole for what she did, especially knowing what Martina was going through, knowing that Girardi was going through something very, very similar. So I feel like you should have exercised a little bit more compassion in that sense. However, at the end of the day, what I'm looking at the most is the ratings that are coming in and just the lack of fan interest in this franchise. And I'm wondering, what are your thoughts? Like, why do you think that this is tanking?
Well, whenever I ask like my followers just out of curiosity, I think they don't think Bravo is pushing it hard enough. Like it's kind of like on the back burner in terms of press, in terms of where they get these ladies to. I don't know. Like, it's definitely not up there with Jersey and New York and Beverly Hills, the way they used to push those shows. So it's possibly that could be part of it. Like, people just don't know about it to tune in. And then another thing is, if you haven't followed these women from the beginning and you just tune in now, they do come across as a little bit like there's not anyone to root for, kind of. Like,
Right.
So in other words, like you can go to Beverly Hills and you can root for Kyle or whatever, whoever you love. On that show, it's like they kind of all are like a little backstabby. They all have their bad moments. So that's what people have told me. Like, I've tried to watch that show, but I don't know who I'm supposed to like on that show. And that could be a problem. There's not like one big hero. It's kind of every season it changes. I don't know. I love Kiki right now, but this just now started highlighting her. So that could be maybe in the future help. I don't know. Girardi was mean to me on my DM, so I have such a hard time rooting for her. But I do think that was terrible what Julia did to her, for sure.
Yeah. Oh well, I didn't know about that. But well, guys,
no, it was my fault. It was my fault. I have a housewife book, and I was sending. She sent me whatever. I sent a picture of her, an illustration of her from the book, because my illustrator did such a great job, and I freaking sent Kiki to her. And she was like, do all black women look alike? And she was so mad at me. And I felt so bad, but I mean, come on, it's an honest mistake. And by the way, the illustrations in my book are like super vague. Like anyone could be anyone. They're kind of caricatures in a way. So it was a complete mistake. I felt so bad. I was like, Girardi, and she was like, would not forgive me. And I was like, my bad, 100% my bad, but it always put a bad taste because I was like, come on, I'm a little blogger, I have a little book. I was just trying to, be nice and say, look at this beautiful picture of you. And she's like, yeah, it's very beautiful, but it's not me. I was like, oh no.
Girardi's like, you got the wrong girl, honey.
I felt so bad. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, it's hard to tell in these pictures who's who, but I know that. But anyway, yeah, that was terrible what Julia did. I don't know why Julia is trying so hard this season to be the bad guy. I guess camera time. I have no idea. It's really, really disconcerting how like she's doubles down, triples down. Like, well, I'm sorry, but what you did, like, no, girl, you're just sorry. She had cancer. You threw water at her. Just be sorry.
Well, and I did, by the way, real quick, just to like switch things up before we get to OC, I wanted to ask you, obviously, because before we came on, I asked you if you saw this, only just because I was like, hey, did you see this? And Jason sent it to me, but I'm going to share it right now. What were your thoughts over the fact that Meredith Marks just signed a deal with Zouk Nightclub for a residency for $3 million?
I mean, I was reading somewhere that somebody was writing about how like these really amazing, hardworking female DJs have worked for years and years and have never gotten anything like this. So I kind of feel bad for them. I mean, who is Meredith Marks in the DJ world? But it goes to show you the brand of Housewives brings in money. That's all this is. I mean, it's not her DJ skills. Come on. To have a housewife, they feel like it's going to bring people in their clubs, I guess. There's no way that she's like an amazing DJ this quickly. I mean, you have to work for years and years.
I mean, go on, girl. Go on with your $3 million paycheck.
You know that when I'm hosting this housewife cruise, like going on a cruise with housewives, and Meredith was one of the housewives on the cruise. It was like 5 housewives. And we hired Tamra on the cruise. She was like a last minute replacement for somebody. And Meredith didn't want to work with her. So she told us that she had like a prior conflict. That's what she said. And it made everyone mad because she was backing out. And you knew why she was backing out, because of Tamra, but also like put a bad taste because I was like, come on, diva, like this pays a lot of money. It's 5 days of your life. Like you're going to tell me just because another housewife who you probably don't even know, but she just knows the fans don't like her. And anyway, they ended up firing Tamra anyway. So, and then they try to get her back. And I don't know if that worked. The cruise got postponed. But the bottom line is, I don't know. Meredith could be a diva, which is kind of cool.
Oi. Okay. And then my next question for you was, with the Real Housewives of New Jersey right now, there's a report that the fans apparently believe, because we have Melissa Gorga, Margaret Josephs, Dolores Catania, and now officially Teresa Giudice going to BravoCon, that we might have some insight into the new cast for the new season. Maybe we would be starting it with Melissa, Dolores, and Margaret, and everybody still thinks that Teresa's getting a spinoff. Do you think that the BravoCon lineup contributes anything? Like, should anybody really weigh that in to their thought process when they're trying to technically at this point just assume or guess what the cast might be?
I mean, you have to think she's got an affiliation with Bravo to be there, but they're trying to really push Next Gen, and she's on Next Gen. Her daughter's on it. that was why I thought they included her in BravoCon, but they also like to leave these doors open, right? Like, who knows if a great storyline will come along for Teresa. I personally, I do not think there's a chance ever that she's going to be back on Housewives of New Jersey. I just don't, just from all the stuff that happened behind the scenes. I mean, I'm the one who freaking broke the smear campaign thing, and Bravo was like day one, called her and was like, shut this down. Like, they were not happy with her. I can't see them ever having her back. But I could be wrong. But yeah, I was surprised about BravoCon. But then I remembered, like, oh yeah, Gia and Next Gen, and kind of trying to keep Teresa happy. I don't know. I don't think that it is an indication. Well, as far as I know, they haven't even made a decision regarding New Jersey. So they're all kind of on hold. So maybe that's why they're bringing her in case we change our mind and decide to include Teresa. We can't not include her in BravoCon and then tell her, oh, you're cast on the next season. So maybe it's them just trying to leave doors open. But I personally think it's more about Next Gen. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. No, I mean, that, especially with Louis, I think that Louis comes off as like a little bit more of a liability. Right. So, no, that could be totally spot on. And it's also interesting too, because we're watching the Real Housewives of Orange County. Last night we got the premiere, and we see where we have Katie Janela, who is catching herself with what she keeps calling a blogger, a Bravo blogger, who is the Bravo babe. I think her name is Christina Huber. Yeah, Christina Huber. Yeah. And Christina came out with all of the receipts. I thought that this was funny. I want to say two things. One, people were messaging me saying that this is your fault because of everything that happened with Whitney on Salt Lake City. And I said,
you opened the floodgates.
You opened the floodgates. I'm like, no, okay, so no, that's not true. One, I was friends with Whitney. Whitney asked me to do a favor. I did the favor. And people always said, why did you not post the text? Like, Christina just posted the text, the calls, everything. Mm-hmm. And I just did a video earlier and I said, listen, that's a choice.
Right. I thought it was very classy of you to not post the text, by the way.
Well, I don't blame her for the choice. Right. I just thought in my mind, thank you. I thought in my mind, by not posting the text, like I have different relationships with so many different people, whether it's Bravo, Hulu, Netflix, it doesn't matter. I'm like, once you post text or you post calls or whatever, then you're just known to, like, you're
no one's ever going to trust you again. Yeah. No, I have the same thing. Like, I have some texts that if I ever posted them, it would like end the world. And I'm like, no one would ever tell me anything ever again if I ever did that. I mean, it would be amazing for my page, but you have to, I think you're right. I mean, I get why she did it because obviously she wants to be vindicated. I mean, if someone's going to come out on the show and lie, then you want to say, no, you're lying, I guess. I don't know. It's an interesting choice for her. I knew about it a long time ago when she was signing the releases and stuff, she told me. And I was like, but I mean, they were going to put her name on the show. They called her, they had her sign releases. So she knows that she's going to be called out by name. So of course she's going to want to defend herself,
Yeah, no. And listen, like I said, as somebody who went through it, I remember watching every single week, just cringing, like, what is going to be said. And, I had a cast member, actually I had two, who were calling me and they're like, this is going to be really bad for you. This is going to end you. This is going to, if you don't speak up, if you don't share the things, which is funny because now looking back, I see that they did not like Whitney and they were trying to get me to post the text and I was being used as a pawn because everything that they were telling me was not in fact true. Wow. And it wasn't being said the way that they were saying. And I would message Whitney and be like, what are you doing right now? Like, that I have everything.
Right.
And she's like, Adam, this is not true. They're trying to bait you. And I was like, okay, I'm going to wait till the end of the season. And lo and behold, I will give Whitney that. She told the truth 80% of the time about like what they were telling me. So, and I didn't end up posting it, but
you know what it is too. You have such a solid platform that you've already made for yourself. So you don't need the like press or the attention of releasing text, whereas Bravo Babe is a lot smaller of a page and she is obviously trying to make a name for herself. She's worked really hard on here to create content. And so it is a different kind of scenario. Like, you just don't need to do that. And I used to post some stuff that like I probably shouldn't have, not for attention, but because I was like, this is too juicy. I can't keep this to myself. And then got attention for it, right? And I actually stopped doing that a little bit just because, first of all, you never win. Second of all, you're always being used by someone on here. You're always one side or the other. I mean, Bravo Babe's being used right now by the anti-Katie side. She is. And then you get this attention from these other housewives who are like egging you on, saying, post the text, let's show what a liar she is. And you just fall for it. You're like, wow, I'm so popular right now. And this is going to be so great for my page. And it is. And so, I mean, if she's doing it to grow her page, then more power to her, you know.
Oh, they make you feel like $1 million, you know? They're like, you're so important.
Yeah.
Post it. Look what you were doing the work of the people. And it's like, oh my God, am I? And then it's like, no, that's the devil. Thank God I have a husband, because I would sit there and I would get off phone calls and he would sit there and he would talk to me and he would rationalize. And I'd be like, you think I just got played? And he's like, you're a fucking moron.
Mm-hmm.
You literally just got played. And I'd be like, oh, these bitches. But,
when I was trying to grow my page, though, I used to say, use me. Like, I love it. Like, tell me, when Rinna was giving me all the Kathy Hilton stuff because, whatever, she hated Kathy and she gave me all the Aspen story. I'm like, thank you. I'm going to post this stuff. And everyone said, oh, you're such a pawn for Rinna. I said, absolutely I am. Use me. But
use me, I'm here.
Right. Like, I remember asking my followers once, I'm like, what do you guys like the best about my page? You like my Hollywood stories, I catered for Leonardo DiCaprio, you like all these good, or you like tea from Bravo Housewives? And they all said tea. I was like, geez, you really care. But now I kind of like fell out of that. I think you're right. Like, you're always being used. But I do think it was great you didn't share those texts in the end.
You're like I like that you're like, thank you. My resume is like that of a CVS receipt. But yes, you guys care about the Bravo tea. Great.
That's all they cared about. Like, everybody, like a majority of my followers were like, no, we're here for the tea. I'm like, wow. And then when Andy Cohen yelled at me for spilling Beverly Hills tea, like, I literally pulled my car over because I saw I had a message from Andy Cohen. And I was like, oh, Andy Cohen. And I open it and he's like, you seem like a fan of the show. Why are you spoiling the reunion for everyone? Because Rinna was giving me a play-by-play and I was posting it. And I was like, oh my God, Andy Cohen. He goes, listen, I'll forgive you if you just tell me who's spilling. I need to know who's giving it. If you tell me who's spilling, I'll forgive you. And I was like, Lisa Rinna.
You're like, done. That's who it is.
It's Andy Cohen, of course, but I remember that and I was like, oh, but this is what my followers want. I'm a blogger. They want to know. And I remember thinking, wow, am I doing something bad? He's like, who's going to watch the show if they know everything? I'm like, Andy, I'm making them want to watch the show because now they know there's drama.
And also, too, when you spoil things, yes, just like Jennifer Aiden was doing, but people still watch to get the context behind the spoilers.
Right, I don't think you're ruining the show.
Yeah, you still want to see what it is, how it played out. Like, you might be able to give like a one sentence, like Lisa Rinna rips Kathy Hilton over Aspen, episode 2 of the reunion, part 2. And It's like, oh, but how? Like, what happened?
I know.
So, well, speaking of which, guys, last night we got the Real Housewives of Orange County season 19 premiere. 1 to 10, I'm going to ask Thea, and I'm going to ask all of you in the live chat, 10 being the highest. Thea, what are you giving season 19?
Oh, gosh. I mean, it's a strong 5.
I
didn't love it only because so far the drama surrounding Katie seems so lame to me. Like, first of all, you're just going to sit there and call her a liar over and over and not tell us what exactly she lied about. I thought the kid nanny thing was so stupid. Like, who cares? Like, let your kid, if you want your kid to talk about it, I don't know. I feel like Emily did the same thing to Katie at the reunion that Katie, did to her. I don't know. So far, I'm not on board with the whole Katie drama. Maybe I'll get there. Maybe by the end of the season, I'll realize, like, because obviously the producers asked her not to go on the Amsterdam trip. So she must have done something legitimate that made everyone hate her. But did you get that from last night? I didn't get why.
You know what's funny is I think that Shannon, Vicki, and Tamra have normalized this, like, I didn't do anything. And they like start screaming. And I think Emily has now tapped into that. So when you're sitting and you're like a very calm-mannered person and you're sitting across from somebody and they're screaming at you and just like going in, it takes like a huge, and I've had this happen, you guys, but like, I mean, I had it literally, I just had it happen in December with Whitney. When somebody's like screaming at you and you're like, is it my turn? Yeah. But some people, they'll retreat and they'll be like, I don't like this. Like, if you guys watch Next Gen NYC and you see Brooks Marks, when it comes to drama, he like really caves in and he's like, I can't do this. Like, I don't know what to do. He's like a dog with his.
He was like in the trunk of the car.
Yeah. He's like a dog with his tail between his legs. And like other people are just like, okay, I'm going to let you speak and then tell me when it's my turn. And they'll sit there and they'll deal with it. But what I didn't like about last night watching the episode, I completely agreed with Gina when all of the ladies were calling out Katie, and Katie was so sus about this. It's like, just pull out the message, you know, whatever. Even when you guys get back in the van, or when you guys get back down to the location, like where you guys parked or whatever, then pull out the messages, do something, share something. But when you're like, oh, well, I don't have service and I'm not gonna, you know, now it's like, girl, you look like you're hiding something.
No, I agree. Like, for 100%, she's done shady things, 100%. But the way they're going at her is like, come on. She didn't sleep with one of your husbands. I mean, clearly this woman has a loose association with the truth. I think that's clear. Although, you know, I was doing an AMA and somebody asked me about Katie, and I repeated a rumor that I saw, which I should never have done, because it's, you know how there's all this clickbait where you see the clickbait stuff. And I feel like I have a really good clickbait radar where I know it's clickbait, and I fell for some dumb radar that she stole a purse or something. And within 2 seconds, I had a message from Katie, who I've never spoken in my life, and she was like, this is not true, take it down. And I'm like, girl, how did you even know it's my AMA? And I was wondering if that was her, like, on a Finsta asking the question to see if I would say, because I was like, wow. Obviously somebody probably sent her the screenshot like 2 seconds later, but it was great. She was up my ass, and I was like, oh, sorry. And it was some dumb purse stealing clickbait that I fell for. And I was just trying to answer their question about her admiral.
It was actually kind of funny too last night when she was talking to Jennifer Pedranti, and she's like, you know, one of them invited me to their birthday, and like, these are my friends. These Bravo bloggers, they are my friends. And I was like, and Jen Pedranti's looking at her like, okay. But somebody who was obviously very noticeably absent last night, guys, if you missed it, I'm just going to go ahead and play a clip for you. Clearly, we know that the OG of the OC was not there. This is what she said.
Franchise in which my bestie here helped launch, babies. It is OC premiere week. You said you're going to watch this season. So how you feeling this week?
Well, I always say that, and then I get like FOMO or something.
So she ended up talking about how she gets FOMO, and how she was like, I was the one who built this franchise. Now watching it, I was fired. I miss the money. I miss the perks. I miss all of the things. And clearly we know, you guys, last night we watched the premiere of season 19. Season 20, that is a milestone, monumental moment. And I guess my biggest question is, knowing that Vicki Gunvalson will not be on the show this season, do you, Thea, think that they will bring Vicki back for season 20?
No. You know, with Bravo, it always comes down to money. Always, always, always. Like, whenever we're talking about casting, like 99% of the time, it's a money thing. And I just feel like Vicki is not cheap enough for them to bring back, and except for like in like a couple lines at a party where they don't have to pay her salary. So there's no way she'll ever be back as a full-time housewife because of her paycheck, because of what she has to make contractually from all the seasons she's been on. So she'll never be back full-time. Would they like bring her on a couple times just so they could say Vicki's on season 20? Maybe. I don't know. I have, do you remember, you know, the cruise that I was telling you about that I was hosting? Well, Vicki was supposed to be on the cruise. She was one of the first people. We had Vicki, we had Cynthia Bailey, Phaedra.
Is this Wives on Waves or something?
No, it's the new one, but we haven't gone out yet because we were supposed to go in September, but because of BravoCon, they like couldn't sell tickets because everyone's going to be at BravoCon, so they're not going to pay for 2 things. So it's going to be in the spring. It's kind of like when Teresa was on, but it's on the Royal Caribbean, whatever. I'm like the host of it. So Vicki, so Vicki was one of the people. So it was Vicki and Phaedra, and we're arguing with the production company, or the people that are paying the bills for Bravo, about paychecks. And they said that they base their pay for the cruise on your number of followers. Like, that's it. And Vicki was like so mad because Phaedra had a lot more followers, so she was making a lot more money. And Vicki was so mad. And Adam, this is so, if you love her, I hate to tell you this because this really happened. She said, okay, Phaedra has more followers than me, but they're urban followers. So mine are like mean more. I swear to you. And they fired her. That was it. To Royal Caribbean's credit, like, that was the end of Vicki on this cruise. And I was like, Vicki, urban. And she even said Christian. My followers are not urban and they're Christian. And so they're like, they mean a lot more than Phaedra's. And I was like, what? So I immediately got a bad taste about Vicki. And also, she was supposed to come to my book party, and she refused to get into an Uber without Taylor. And Taylor came without her because Taylor didn't want to ride with her. And then so she didn't come. So that made me mad because she was on my step and repeat. Like, Kodo Insurance was on my step and repeat. So I'm like, you put yourself on my step and repeat, but you won't come because you don't want to take an Uber alone. It's like a 3-hour Uber. It's from Orange County up to LA. So I got it. But So now I don't like Vicki. I know she's an OG. She probably does deserve to be in season 20, but even if she was on, it would be a very limited role because of money. That's all I'm saying. They're not giving her 1.2 million ever again.
Yeah. Oi. Okay, guys. I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, I truly feel like we just like covered so much in like such a short amount of time. But all right. So guys, I think that we covered all of the topics, but listen, we have a lot more that's going to be coming out, especially with Miami, also OC. The Valley is still not over. I can't wait. They're teasing that we're going to be getting the trailer pretty soon for the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I think
August 18th is going to be the premiere date. That's what I heard.
Sweet. Perfect. No, guys, I will not be included in any capacity.
Yay.
Let me just, like put that out there. But if you guys haven't already, go ahead, pop off in the live chat. Let us know what you thought about our hot, messy topics today. But also for Thea, she is working her ASS off. So guys, if you're not following her, she's going to let you know exactly how you can.
Your moms are watching on Instagram, and I have a little YouTube show called Talk Tea with Thea. I had Earl the Pearl on. He was hilarious. It's just me talking to guests. Very low frills.
You know what? Honestly, I think that the guest conversations are usually like the best ones anyways. Right. I feel like truly, like, even when we started, I sometimes miss doing the interviews and stuff like that. But Bravo got so weird with me with doing interviews because they felt like I stole the one interview about Jen Shah. I shouldn't have done the Mary Cosby parents interview. I shouldn't have flew to Atlanta to do Fallon Gobadia.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it.
It was no. They were all worth it. I mean, we got Good Morning America. We got the Wendy Williams show. We got all kinds of things. But like at the end of the day, I was like, Bravo, I would just get messages after doing interviews. And they're like, you don't want problems. And I'm like,
yeah, I don't know if this was the case back then, but they limit the Bravo Labs how many they can do and what they can talk about. So there's no way I'll ever get like an active Bravo Lab on my pockets. I've asked a lot of them, but they only let them do so many. So no one's going to come on my 180 follower one, which is fine. I like to get the riffraff anyways.
I always just like to tell Bravo I live on the edge of danger. So sorry, Bravo. Even when Andy Cohen called me out about Jen Shah, we sat there. And it was funny because we were at an NBC party in, I think it was New York or Vegas, but we were at an NBC party. It was during BravoCon. And I walked up to Andy and I was having a conversation, and it was like probably about 2 minutes. And Jason's cousin's friend ended up like recording the back and forth. And we're sitting there just talking. And he's like, you shouldn't have done that. And I said, okay, I get it. But like now it's done. And I said, so like, what, like now I apologized. And he's like, well, it's a year later that you're apologizing. And I was like, okay, well, I'm here and I apologized. And, I'm sorry that I got the interview and I took it from you. He said, you didn't take anything from me. I was like, okay, I don't think that there's anything that I'm going to say right here. But long story short, she's in prison and we can move on.
Yeah, water under the bridge.
Water under the bridge, Andy Cohen.
But one fellow broadcaster to another, you should say to Andy, like, I got you. I got the interview and you didn't. So let's just, move forward.
Listen, you just bought a beach house in the Hamptons. Relax, Andy. Right. We're okay on you. But yes, guys, make sure you go and follow Thea at Your Moms Are Watching. Also, you guys can go over to upandadamlive.com. Check out, there are new articles coming out. Of course, we have all of the things from podcasts, YouTube videos, and just really encouraging you guys to sign up and engage in the comment section and the chats. But in the meantime, I love you guys. I appreciate you. It is Friday, so let's get ready for the weekend. Next week, we're going to be going to New York City, and we're going to be leaving on Thursday. So I'll keep you guys posted for that. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. Stay safe. No drinking and driving, even though people never listen to anything that I say. But yeah, have fun. All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks for having me on.